Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about how to get high-end rentals cheaper. But this works across the board. So don't worry for you guys that are looking for like a mid-range or something like that, or even a cheaper apartment or home or whatever. You're looking to get it cheaper. This will work for you too in many, many cases, because we're going to cover a couple of different things here. And it's not just Airbnbs, but other regular rentals, how to get your prices down on some of these things. Okay, and it works in some cases it doesn't. It depends on the landlord, but in most cases it will work because they're still making about the same amount of money in the end. Okay, so we're going to start talking about this now. When you're looking for a high-end place, you can go through agencies, and some of these agencies will find you lower priced places, and they're kind of like hidden. And these agents, like if you're looking for like a place with a pool or something like that on the beach or something like that, these places, they don't advertise them too much. A lot of these places, what happens is they actually get rented out weekly or daily or something like that, or they go through Airbnb or all these other, like their weekly rentals, daily rentals, things like that. So what happens is you could be looking on Airbnb, just to use them as an example, okay? And I know they try to keep you from talking about certain things when you're talking to the owner of the Airbnb, okay? So what it takes is, if you want to rent a place, you want to look at it anyway. So rent one of these Airbnbs for the night and check out to see how far out they're booked out and stuff like that. And a lot of these places, what happens is if you go there during the summer season versus the rainy season here in the Philippines, you're going to pay a lot more, okay? But then when the rainy season comes, some of these places aren't even rented out. Nobody wants a place with a pool when it's raining all the time, but the prices come way, way down, and sometimes they sit there. So these people make all their money usually during the summer season. So if you approach these people and you go up to them and say, hey, listen, and watch them. You can watch during the rainy season how many times they're getting rented out and stuff like that, because it lets you look at the calendar to see if it's booked up. At least it used to on Airbnb, but some of there's other sites out there too that do this, and also you can talk to these people that are renting through an agent or something like that, and you're going to find that most of these places sit idle sometimes, and also they also have to clean it. So what happens is you approach them and you say, hey, listen, I want to rent this off you for a 6-month lease or a 12-month lease. So you don't have to clean it. We'll clean it. We'll do the wash. We'll do the laundries. Or you can ask them, okay, I still want you to do the cleaning or something like that still, but I'm going to pay you this amount. And you can talk them down in the price because they're going to think about it because of the fact that all those empty weeks, they would rather have it rented out and not have to care too much about it or worry about things. And if you approach them and say, hey, listen, I'll take care of the laundry. I'll take care of the cleaning and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about it. And they can just kick back, and just collect the money. Then they're going to be all set and happy. But the best way is to negotiate with these people, because when you consider some of these places, these high-end Airbnbs that are out there are empty quite a lot of the time. Why not have that place rented out for the whole year and not have to worry about it as a renter, as a landlord? It's way better for them. They don't have to think about that place for a whole year now. That place is done. It's money in the bank, So that's the way they're going to look at it. So sure, they're going to negotiate with you, But here's another way to negotiate too. Sometimes if you pay them in advance a little bit, and you say, hey, listen, I'll give you 6 months in advance. I want a document stating that I'm paid till such and such a date, and you're all set. And this works in any country. It doesn't just work in the Philippines. It works in any country. You pay these people in advance and you negotiate with them, you can get them down quite a lot, because money, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. They would rather have that money in their pocket, you know what I'm saying, than somebody else having that money in their pocket. And they have it in their pocket in advance too, so that they know that they're all paid up. And then you got your dream place, the place that you're looking for. And Airbnb is a little bit hard to work through, but you can sometimes find these weekly rentals and nightly rentals. You can go on Facebook and stuff like that, and you can find these places. And these work the same way. And some of these places are also on Airbnb. Okay? They're also on Airbnb. A lot of these places are on there listed, but they also try to do it themselves. they put it through an agent, and what they do is they black out certain dates and stuff like that. So what happens is, it works like even if you go to an agent and you say, hey, listen, I want to talk with the landlord, and you approach the landlord and say, hey, listen, I want to rent this place out for the year. I know you got empty dates, and I know sometimes this place is empty. And I know you got rainy season and you got several months where you got hardly any people coming in here. What are they going to say? When you say you're going to rent it for the whole year, what they can do is figure out how much money they made for the whole year, because they know. And then they can come back with you and give you a price and say, well, hey, listen, with those people you were making the beds and you were sweeping and cleaning the place. With me, you don't have to do that. Can you come down even a little bit more? And then they're probably going to say yes, because that was all included in that. And sometimes they give you like a free breakfast or something like that. They don't have to include that. Okay? Some people won't do that because they want to be able to do that. They want to be able to make that extra little bit of money, a little bit of extra income. So some people, they like doing that service. You know what I'm saying? Because it just gives them like maybe a 10% kick on how much money they're going to make or whatever. So some people might say no. But you can also negotiate, like I said, by paying them in advance. If you can, if you have that kind of money, especially for the high-end people that out there that have the extra cash or something like that, when you go to negotiate with these people, they're going to look at you and say, well, wow, this guy's willing to rent for the whole year, at least for the whole year, and they're going to jump on it because they don't have to worry about it, and that's the best part about it for them. So to them, it's a no-brainer in most cases. Some people, they have their reasons why they would rather do it the other way, and that's up to them. They take the risk of having that place empty, and it is a risk. It's almost like a bet. Okay, am I going to be able to fill that place up? Because maybe the place is getting more and more well-known there or something like that. And sometimes they're going to say no. And if they say no, that's okay. You can move on to the next one, But I did this back home. And what I did was I found a place online, okay? And it was so much per night on Airbnb, okay? And what I did was I was able to meet the lady, okay? And she came and met me. I'm not going to say who she is or anything like that. I met with the lady, and I talked to her. I says, hey, listen, I'm looking to rent this place, for at least like 2 or 3 years. And it was a 1-bedroom, just the bedroom, Airbnb, okay, with a bathroom, and I had full use of the house, and I had to share the house with like 3 or 4 other people, okay? And it was so much per night. So I was looking at how empty it was. So I asked her, I says, listen, give me the cheapest price you can give me. Give me the best price you can give me, and I'll pay you. And I'll even pay you in advance in some cases. And I did. I always usually paid her in advance. Sometimes I paid her 3 months in advance or something like that. So she didn't have to worry about having somebody in there that might not pay her or something like that. Because she had regular rentals and she had Airbnb rentals. So when I came to her, she was really glad to get that money, because she knew every month at least she was going to get that amount and she didn't have to worry about it. So I negotiated with her, and then she went off Airbnb for that. And then I stayed with her for, I think it was like about 3 years, 3 to 4 years, something like that. I was in there quite a long time. I believe it was like 3 years. And my roommates were extraordinary. I was lucky there because I had my own bedroom. It was clean. It was furnished. I had a clean bathroom. I had to share it with one other person, but the person was clean and decent. And then there was plenty of bathrooms in the house, so there was even one bathroom that was almost never used. Also, there was a clean kitchen, nice refrigerator. I had a dining room. I had a living room, and my roommates worked almost all the time. So I had the whole house to myself for $550 a month, and it was a beautifully furnished house in Massachusetts. Okay, for $550 a month. I rarely ever saw my housemates, and when I did, we were almost like we became like family. So it was a really good situation. Now that was for that type of Airbnb. Now we're not talking about sharing a home with people in this case. We're talking about high-end rentals, things like that. Okay, but if you're looking for lower-end rentals, like where I live is like I would say like a lower middle class or middle class type housing here in the Philippines, okay? I would say it's probably like lower middle class, but I fixed it up and we made it ours, Now, for things like that, for sure, if you pay in advance, because they're like $80 a month, in some cases they're $60 a month or $100 a month. If you pay them in advance, like 6 months or a year in advance, sometimes they'll knock off a month because you're paying them in advance and they want that money. They know they would rather have that money in their hands than not have it. It's almost like a loan. It's because those people want that money and they'll be glad to take that money. So it's a good offer to them, but make sure you're protected too. Make sure you have that in writing. You might even want to sit down and talk to an attorney to write out a lease agreement, or tell them to have the lease agreement written out by somebody professional. You don't want somebody ripping you off. And also, guys, when you do a rental in the Philippines, what you do is you usually burn up your security deposit in the last month. You tell your landlord, listen, I'm going to burn up the last month of security deposit. So that way because most of the time, they've already spent it. They don't put that in the bank like in the United States, like they're legally supposed to in some countries. Okay, it doesn't work that way here. They usually spent it already. So they can't give it back to you. So if you ask for it, they probably don't even have the money to give back to you. But anyway, guys, what you do is you burn that up, and then you don't have to pay that last month of the place that you're staying at. Okay, like if you leased it for a year, you can stay like an extra month or whatever with that security deposit. Just look at it that way. Just tell your landlord like 2 months in advance, say, hey, listen, I know I got that security deposit. My last month, I'm going to burn that up. Most landlords will say, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. And you can let them come in and look at the place or whatever, just so they know it's not damaged or anything. And they'll feel better about that. And some places will ask you for your last and a security. Last, first, and security. And you can burn up those 2 months if you have to. And 90% of landlords here are okay with that. So don't worry about that. But remember that, guys. When you go into these places, negotiate. Remember, a lot of these places are empty most of the year because of the rainy seasons or things like that, or off seasons or whatever. So those are the seasons you're going to take into consideration when you try. You can try to consider what you're going to offer them sometimes, but let them come back to you, because most of the time you might be surprised what these people will come back to you with an offer for a beachfront property or a place in Tagaytay overlooking Taal Volcano. Places like that, you can get them really, really cheap because of the fact that there's an off season when they can't rent it out for high prices. Because when you smooth it out over the year, and you figure it out that way, it's totally different. Because most people, what they're doing is they're looking at these prices on these places. Well, I want to rent this place here in Tagaytay, let's say, in the Philippines. And it's showing up on there, and they want $2,500 a month during the high season, Well, what about the rainy seasons when it's empty? So like I said, you can get it a lot cheaper, but you might have to do a lease. You can bargain with them, like I said, with leasing for a year and paying them in advance for you guys that are looking at higher end places, because some of you guys have that money and you have that availability. But just because you have money doesn't mean you want to throw it away. Certainly don't throw it away. Always negotiate in the Philippines, and trust me, there's plenty of negotiation with all these steps that I've taught you, and they do work in most cases. As I've said, it worked for me in the United States, and it works here in the Philippines for me now, because I have negotiated by paying in advance. You can do that. And the Airbnb thing, that's a little trick that a lot of Airbnbers use sometimes if they're going to stay someplace long term. Like they rent the place for a year. They'll negotiate with the people. They'll say, hey, listen, I don't want you making my beds. I don't want you cleaning the place. We're going to rent it during the rainy season when usually you're empty. So can you kind of average everything out? Can you average it out for me and figure out, what you can rent it out to me for a year? You'll find the price comes way down. Way down. And teach them how to do it if they don't know how to do it. Because some landlords, they don't understand what you're talking about. Especially here in the Philippines. You might run into a few people that are like that. You might have to talk to them and teach them. Say, hey, listen, I'll help you do it. We'll go through it, And then they'll understand. Because some people are just going to say no. They don't want to do the math. They don't care. Or they got enough money that they're not going to worry about it. Most people will do it because it means they don't have to deal with it for the rest of that year. And that's the best part. Or 6 months, whatever amount of time you're looking to get this place. Anyway, guys, I just want to teach you that. It's a good thing to learn. You know, negotiation really helps you in the Philippines, and it also gives you more bang for your dollar. And it also even helps these people on these lower budgets, you know? And that's why I say always have some available money on the side. Because if you want to pay in advance and you want to negotiate, and that saves you $60 or $80 or $100, you know, for a home like mine, that's $60, $80 or $100 in your pocket that you can spend, that you need if you're on a lower budget. So, I mean, all this stuff helps. Every little tiny bit in your pocket makes you that much wealthier. Think of it that way. You know, but anyway, guys, God bless. I hope that helps, guys. It is a great negotiating tool out there to have when you're out there looking for rentals. But God bless, guys, especially as an expat. God bless, guys. Take care.